Hello. So we will start streaming here. As you can see on the YouTube, this is our first try, guys. So if you're seeing some troubles with the streaming or anything happens, please let us know if something goes wrong. And additionally, I would like to thank you for being here, and also thank you for answering the poll. You already can answer questions and write your requests or anything that you want to ask or check with us. We will be waiting for some other attendees here since the webinar is just started, so we're going to have a couple more minutes to wait for the people to come. But I would like to welcome you here and tell you that we are here present by me. My name is Sofia. I'm customer success expert here in SmartLook. Along with me, you can see my colleague, Patrick, who is also customer success expert in SmartLook and who will be moderating this call. And we also have our Lara here, who is working on all our platforms, social media platforms. So this is the person who is moderating our community. And if you have some questions about the community or about anything, do not hesitate to ask her or us directly here in the Q&A session, and we'll be happily replying to you. And of course, feel free to join the community if you would want to see what's happening in there. We'll be sharing some of the links here with you within the chat, so feel free to write something down there in chat as well, save the links, and as usual, the recording of this session is going to be sent to you after it is rendered by Zoom, so it's going to take some time, but you're going to get the recording. You can always access the recording within our community or through the YouTube channel now. So we are going to get this pretty much everywhere for you to be able to see it. So as I mentioned, today we are going to first try live streaming. So it's going to be a little bit of a breakthrough for us. So if something happens, or if you would want to send the link for the streaming, you definitely could, and or join our community again to see the things that are happening within the SmartLook and or ask your questions. The topic of today's webinar would be the cross-platform journey, something that we've anticipated a lot, something that is very different from what you're seeing within the other platforms, offering you the analytics of the web pages and applications separately. Now you have it all under one roof with the SmartLook. So we'll be very happy to show you how that works, how to set it up, and what are the perks of it, so that you could try it yourself and see for yourself if it brings the value and what value it brings to you. Again, we would be very happy if you would be sending us questions within the throughout the whole webinar. You could do so. We'll answer them either through Q&A or within the presentation itself. And if you have some questions that were not answered, you definitely can log in to our next open hour sessions, or just write us an email so that we can arrange either the meeting with customer success or just write to you the details that are missing for your understanding of SmartLook. If there are some of your colleagues who would like to join our webinar and to see the firsthand or get the firsthand experience, you definitely can invite them. This is webinar on request or on demand. It means that the link in the video would be available even after the webinar is ended. So if the time zones are not exactly correct for you or your colleagues, you definitely just share it later and everyone would be able to check how SmartLook is working and what it offers. So since now we will be getting to the main part of this webinar, which would be the presentation of cross-platform, the explanation of how that works, how to set it up within SmartLook, and what are the benefits, I would start presenting it. And again, if you have some questions or you would like to discuss something, definitely feel free to check either our Q&A, so to write it in there, answer in the poll, or just write directly in the chat. We will be happy to discuss there with you whatever that is that comes to mind. Okay. So the cross-platform journey and overall modern kind of user journey is a very complex thing at the time, and we all know that it has multiple touch points, right? So it not only that your user is now using the web page necessarily, but your web page can be easily transformed onto the application. And with the smartphones being almost in every household, you could definitely say that there are way more options for you to grow and to work with your customers or provide your customers with your platforms or goods. Within the application world. It could be on the tablets, it could be on the smartphones, on anything that can work with it. Therefore, here in SmartLook, we pretty much decided that it is very important to allow our users to track the entire customer journey and compare this data across various platforms so that all these interfaces would be in one specific place. Basically, what makes our cross-platform stand out is that you only need one tool to be able to take a look at what your user is doing within the application, on the web application as well. So you don't really need to install it too many times. There's only one tracking code that you need to work with. It also that being the always-on solution, SmartLook is pretty much starting the recordings or starting rendering the data once you set up the code. So what all you need to do, as I said, put on the tracking code and everything is there. And since the SmartLook is quite a customer-friendly tool and very easy to navigate, because here in SmartLook, we also do use SmartLook. So everything is done in order for you to save the time doing the analytics and for you to feel that you have everything to your hand and can work with all the things that are there. So the main thing that we need to discuss before we go to the installation of the SmartLook would be one particular thing that needs to be there, which is different from when you install in the regular web or app devices. This is the identification or implementation of identification. So we will go into some technical things in here, so don't worry, it's not going to be too much, but I would explain in details what you need to install and where to find this info. Yeah. So when creating or when working with different projects, all you need to do is basically just select this project and set up the tracking code. But in order for any analytical integrations to work in Unity, we need to make sure that the data that we are feeding to this analytical device is similar across all the platforms. And what I need is that we need to make sure that the user ID is identified within the SmartLook would be the same for your web users and for the app users. SmartLook identification of the users is working on a simple principle. You store the data on your end, add the code to the SmartLook script that would allow to identify and record the data so it can be shown in your user interface. For this purpose, we had introduced the part of our documentation that is called Identify Visitor, which is available for all platforms that we're working with. You can find it for web and for all application platforms as well. With the help of the identity call, you can allow SmartLook to record and show you the basic data about your users, such as the user name or email, or what package they are paying for, maybe in what currency, what type of price there was, and or some other different details. The purpose of the identification turned on is that you would pretty much give us the option to locate the data, record it, and show it onto the screen. And then when the data is similar on all the touch points, meaning on the web and application, then your user would be identified through all the platforms. It will be done automatically once this data is matching. So along with the identifiers, you might have noticed I had mentioned the record call or so-called consent to record the data. And this is done for the privacy concerns, and I will show you what and where to find it a bit later. So when this data is set up, what we need to do is to get to the installation of the United Script for the platforms. You might have noticed this before. It looks exactly like the way how you installed the projects before. The Combine project is a regular project, but called Combine Website and Mobile. Once you give it a name, you are good to go. You are having the website tracking code and mobile native SDK key, and you can find out all necessary documentation or the onboarding page in there. And there should be the step-by-step guide offered to you for an installation of the projects or the SDK key. This is also something new that was just released a couple of days ago, so you definitely should give it a try now. And once you have the tracking code and the SDK key to your disposal, what you need to do is just to connect these platforms under one project. Once this code is installed to the script, you need to make sure that the settings of the recordings are done according to your preferences. For web, you can decide if to record on the mobile devices on the web page. And for the application, you can choose whether to upload the sessions immediately when your user is using the application on mobile or cellular data, or to keep it only for when the user is connected to the Wi-Fi. And the next step would be making sure that you're running the identifier command that we've discussed before. So make sure you're running identifier command and there is the consent present. For running the identifier on the web platform, all you need to do is to install the code with the name of the variable that is identifying your visitor in your backend, so the SmartLook can easily find it. And as I've mentioned, you can also identify the users based on the name or any other property. There is no limit as to how many properties or things you can display in the dashboard while watching the sessions. It could be the package, currency, brand, size, or any other important property in your database that you want to filter your sessions by. The third parameter of the identify method is completely optional. You don't have to go with the parameters, and it's completely up to you what's going to be in those values. However, it's also necessary to check if the consent call is running for SmartLook to actually record the data that is being identified. You can combine different consent calls, as you can see in here. Some would be for the forms, emails, API values, IPs, numbers, etc. And I know that's another line of code, but the good side of it, it's not adding any load on your web page and exists solely for the purpose of keeping the user's data safe. It basically allows you to have complete control over the values that would be propagated to user interface of SmartLook and be recorded by the SmartLook. And the identifier for the mobile is working on actually exactly the same principle, just the calls would be different or the script would be slightly different. You need to add the identifier call and customize it with the additional properties based on your need. These properties can be seen in the dashboard as visitor details, user information, and below that would be visitor details. And complete script for the calls of the application platforms we're working with can be found in the documentation that can be accessed from the SmartLook account. So once we have everything added, you pretty much can see that the sessions are being recorded directly, and regardless of whether the session had occurred on your website or on the native mobile app, you would still find the session replays in the recording tab of your dashboard. So let me show you how that works. We will go to another tab. So this is how it's going to look like. You would pretty much be seeing the platform as it is. The user interface is not changing anyhow, and you would not need to add anything additional. Everything is going to be in here. So when opening the recordings, what you would be able to do is to add the filters that you want to work with, or just see the sessions. And the great thing is there that you are seeing if your user is doing the session on the website and on the desktop version, or on the website and mobile version, or on the mobile native app, and which technology they used for that. And say if one user opened the mobile app at 3:55 p.m. and another browser your web page at 3:57, you would see that both sessions in the same feed. And it's going to look like this. Here is always going to be the platform, and the sessions are going to be added for the user. And of course, if you get the hundreds of thousands of users every day, or your traffic is high, you're not going to watch every session. Instead, of course, you're going to use the filters that would narrow your feed down to a few sessions, so it's easier to watch and easier to understand. So SmartLook here offers more than 30 different filters, and you can filter based on the platforms, of course. So choose between the website or the application, or see it all together. You can work with the information about the sessions, work with the location of your users. You can work with the technology, so all the different things that you can find in the maybe your device settings. Of course, working with the user data and the API values that you're propagating. We can work with the sources and definitely with the events, meaning that if the event had happened within the mobile or the web, you would still see them. And there is always going to be an icon showing to you where or how this event had happened. If you select one of these filters, so I'm going to open one of the segments that we are having in here, you would see that it will show you the specific sessions for the platform that it is compatible with. So sign up mobile users or sign up web users. And filters of the so, this would eliminate the filters for the other platforms. But if we're talking about these global filters, like the segmentation that I showed you before, it is going to show you the information for all of the platforms there. So SmartLook knows how to separate those. Of course, you can always watch the sessions recordings of the specific user to understand how or what they're doing within their different sessions and how the sessions look like. So here we have a session of the user who is coming through their mobile device and then had continued their session on the web. And you can calculate the conversions here or simply analyze the behavior of what your user is doing on the mobile or the desktop and how it looks like for them. You definitely can still use the same functions that you saw before within the regular projects. You can work with the events here, so search between the different events. And please keep in mind, if your events are called exactly the same as on the web and on the application, then you would be able to work with these events within the events part as one. But not only that, you can still work with the events where you would be able to choose either from the custom events that you are propagating or from the events connected solely to the mobile app and web page. But you would also be able to combine them into the funnel. Basically, how this funnel is going to look like is that you would be able to differentiate between the funnels for the mobiles and funnels for the web, or the funnels that would consist of the events happening within the different platforms. So you can see in here that this is online film page, which is the web event. Add to cart button is also a web event. And the last part would be the mobile app checkout page. Not only that, but you also are able to create the merged events that would be having the event coming specifically from the app and web together. So you could pretty much just use the create new event button and merge multiple events together in the all part so that it all would be here. So again, we're able to go with the mobile app and just combine them together. Simply give it a name and you're good to go. And of course, further, these events, the merged ones, can be utilized within the funnel so to show you the conversion on both platforms. However, you can always filter based on the platform so to see how the results are different from each other. You, of course, would be always able to see the drop-offs or to see how your users are going through the checkout pages or any other page that would be the conversion point for your users. But also, what we could do would be to take a look at the funnel and then analyze it next to the behavior flow, which is also going to be separated based on the platform that we are working with. So you can work with the website to see how the users are going through the parts of the web page, have the parts with the Android and iOS to see how these different platforms are behaving or how the users are switching between those. And last but not least, of course, the heat maps are going to look exactly the same as they look like, but all combined in one spot. So you would have the switch between the website and mobile heat maps in a single project dashboard, which would help you to understand which of the parts might be slightly compromised by the maybe some changes that you've done before, or on the contrary, show you that you created a great user-friendly environment on both platforms. So basically, all of the functions that you are at the moment seeing within your separate platforms, you are able to combine into one using the cross-platform project. You can switch between the different ones that you've created before, or just have it all in here, set up the reportings, work with the different parts of the recordings, work within the heat maps, check the events, go to the funnels, check the behavior flows, and of course, set up the new things that we've prepared for you. For the mobile, you're able to work with the crash reports. All you need to do is to install the plugin to your app. This is, again, a little bit of the working with the documentation on your site, but again, you could see that it's just one line of the code, which would allow you to understand where the crashes are happening on your app and analyze them. For the web pages, you're always able to report a bug if you need to. This button is located here on the bottom, so simply report the bug to your team and work together on it. There are going to be some new changes coming, but as of now, within the cross-platform journey, you are seeing everything under one roof. And to set it up across different platforms, all you need to do is to simply implement our tool, all of the platforms that you're working with the same project key. And of course, this is something that is available at the moment upon request. So you will be able to, if you're a paying customer, you should be able to have this already, or you can just request it and we'll turn it on for you so you could see how it works. And as I mentioned, there are literally only 3 very easy steps for you to set up the cross-platform journey. The first would be to create the project. Second, install the code. And third, work with the identifier. Nothing can be easier than that. So now we will move on to the questions, if you guys have some, and I would be very happy to hear some of your thoughts about how this works and what you're seeing within the platform, and if you are going to use it or if you're going to work with this somehow. And don't worry if you will not make it with a question. We would always be able to answer them in the community. You have the link to this in the chat. And of course, for those who were not able to attend this meeting, you definitely can still ask your questions within this chat or write it to us via email. We would be happy to answer it and or maybe book a meeting with you to understand what is happening there. So let's go on to the questions. It seems that there are not that many questions at the moment, but we will be able to go to the understanding of the way how you guys had answered to the poll. So we're seeing that most of the users are having the web platform available to them. So if you are only working with the web platform, now is the time for you to try working directly with the app and web under one roof, so you are able to understand what's happening in there. And if you're not having any application, you definitely don't need to create one, or you can try and have it all prepared with the smart look embedded into that, so that from the very beginning of your app running, you will be ready to have the options of tracking your customers' behavior and understanding what is happening there. We could also see that there have been some answers about the onboarding, and some of you had answered of having the self-training. So this is actually something that is newly available on our webpage. You should be able to have the onboarding flow, which is going to look slightly different to what it is looking now. So we would be very happy to have you on the future webinars to show you how the new onboarding is working and how it looks like for you guys and for those who are coming to the to experience SmartLook for the first time. And of course, we still do the customer success trainings, which are included in your paid package. So with your paid package, you should be receiving the link which you can use to book a meeting with us, through which you would be able to find our calendars and find the time that would be suitable for you to start the meeting. We still do have the community, and our community seems to be growing quite a lot. So all the new updates and everything would be written there in the community along with our social media. So if you would want to see a little bit behind the scenes, what's happening in SmartLook, you definitely could also check our Instagram page, which is Life at SmartLook, where we can show you some of the fun that we are having in our office, and of course, tell you a little bit more about who is working on the project that you're working with and how we would want to communicate with our users. We are very, very cherishing the feedback and any sort of communication that we are getting from you guys. So since that we're not having any questions at the moment, and of course, if you would be having anything that you would want to ask, or if you would want to check with us, we would be more than happy to answer it to you. I repeat again that you can write us an email or get on the any sort of contact pages with us. You can use our chat, you can use our community, you can write us on social media if you want to, and definitely we'll be seeing you on the next webinars. And for the next webinar, I have a nice little treat for you. It is going to be a collaboration webinar with the new addition to the SmartLook family as our big integration, and not to open all of the cards we have right now, but this is going to be the team of the guys that are helping us with these surveys, and maybe the survey that would be sent to you after this webinar. So we are very much looking forward to seeing the team, and once we are ready to release, then we will be sharing with all of you guys who this mysterious team is going to be and what type of questions we would be asking. And if you have any ideas about what you want to hear on the next webinars, or what topics would be bringing your attention, or what you want to discuss, and to understand how it looks like within SmartLook, definitely let us know again. So with this being said, since there are no more questions that we are having, and I see some of the attendees leaving, we would be saying our goodbyes for today. However, as I mentioned, you're always more than welcome on any of the communication that we are having. And thank you so much for attending this webinar today. Don't forget to get to the open office hours and enjoy the rest of the day. And thank you to my colleagues for helping with the webinar.